Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. So, this is day 2 of my 30-day YouTube live experiment. So, hello, if you do not know me, I am Dr. Brielle Harvin, and this is day 2 of the 30-day live experiment where I'm going to be thinking about out loud with other college faculty members, university administrators, and staff about what it looks like to face this moment of disruption in higher ed. And so a lot of the decisions that we are having to make right now, either in our classrooms, in our meetings, are both, an, at an institutional individual level are getting made really quickly. Um, Oftentimes from a place of reacting and actually from a place of fear. And so the work that I am doing is helping us to slow down and help us think about moving more toward aligned decision making that actually take our capacity, our morale, and also our well being into consideration. And so today I want to talk about what it means to actually slow down and breathe in this moment. So, what I mean by this is slowing down to breathe in our meeting spaces, in our classrooms, at our desks when we're sitting down to write or do administrative work. And so, I want to think about this from a perspective of a way to support our regulation, our connection, and then also just being intentional around being intentional around disruption, all the disruption that's happening in higher ed. Okay, so I want to start with a story. I today had a therapy session and I came into this session already new feeling super rattled. I didn't get a great night of sleep, so I had already been up for hours and had been working and my mind was spinning, and I've been with my therapist long enough where I'm able to just name that that's how I'm showing up, to just say I'm not feeling very regulated today and to talk through that. And one of the things that stuck with me from the session today was that rather than talking through things, that usually works for me, I just couldn't get there. No matter what path my therapist was taking, I just wasn't able to stop the spinning of my thoughts and to slow down and to even physically, I'm now realizing, stop moving and just settle into the conversation and having a singular focus. So, because I was in this state, one of the things that came up was maybe we should just slow down and just take a breath. And I was like, okay, sure. And so my therapist invited me to plant my feet, and we did a guided meditation where I was asked to visualize being in nature, to notice the leaves, to notice the sounds, the textures, all the different things that were around me, and to use my brain, to just imagine the different things that were happening in this scenario and invite myself into a place of imagination with intention where I was just focusing only on that and blocking out everything else in my environment. So we went through this exercise. It was about 5 minutes or so, and I felt so refreshed after. I'm I know I've really struggled with meditation in my own life, and it's really hard for my brain to just slow down and stop thinking, but it felt a little bit different to have somebody be live and do it with me. But one of the impressions that I had when I was just, you know, first opened my eyes was like, whoa, that is the most quiet that it has been in a while. And I just felt more calm and I felt more ready to tackle what we were talking about. And I also had new ways of thinking about the problems that I was describing. And so when I signed off, we talked through, finished my session. When I signed off, I was just thinking, this reminds me of a moment that an interaction that I had with a student several years ago who was mentioning that one of his other professors actually started the first 5 to 10 minutes of every class with a guided meditation where they would just breathe together, and the student was saying how refreshing it was because it was really the only time that he was able to stop during the day, and so he looked forward to that class every single, Monday, Tuesday I think it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, morning class, because he knew that that was a place that he was going to be able to pause. So, Dr. Brielle Harvin version of myself back then when I originally heard it was thinking, wow, that's kind of a lot of class time to use to do, because it's a 15-minute class, to do a breathing and meditation exercise. But then when I had just had this experience of how hard it was for me to concentrate, to take in new information, to assemble my thoughts when my mind was so scattered, I was thinking, hey, probably that student got more out of the session by taking that 10 minutes to pause, because the remaining 40 minutes they were able to tap into a level of creativity, imagination that would not have been possible if they had not actually tried to, slow down first intentionally and lock in. And so that's just making me think about both of these experiences together are making me think in this moment of disruption in higher ed. And I'm not just talking about, I mean, there's multiple layers of disruption: AI, the enrollment cliff, the political disruption, funding disruption, all these kind of things that are currently on the table. But it just made me think about how if we were just more intentional about what it looks like to slow down and didn't think about slowing down as being a competing a force on our teaching and our learning, how it might actually open up the amount of learning that could happen in our classrooms, right? And so I recently contributed to a chapter of the revised edition of The Slow Professor. So this is not a new conversation around, slowness in higher ed. And, that's something that I've been thinking about, but I'm specifically in this moment thinking about how dysregulated so many of us likely are in this moment in coming into our classrooms, and how we might actually want to, it could be a strategy to just slow down with our students and to acknowledge it and to take a collective breath with them. So I'm not saying anybody should try this. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just really starting the conversation here to really think through, I guess, what are the pros and cons of this? Have people tried to do this before? How have students received it? Has it enhanced your pedagogy? Is it a good use of time, quote unquote? What have your experiences been? I think this could be a really powerful conversation to have in this moment. I think particularly, so I mentioned that there's a lot of different layers of the disruption that's happening right now. But when I think about what AI in particular is inviting into our classrooms, where we're really having to think intentionally and also narrate for students why they should be motivated to do the hard work when they could just ask Chatty to do it. I think it could be a really, really like a part of a larger conversation just about what it, what's important in terms of human intelligence, and then also how we show up to be able to do the work that is uniquely human in ways that uh, takes into account our capacities in terms of being overstimulated and having fractured attention and all these things. So I'm this semester, of course, teaching an asynchronous and online class, and the one session of the week is only an hour. And so I don't know what that would look like for me to actually do it. And so that's why I wanted to just ask other folks who are leading their own classrooms, is this something that you have done, or that you have had conversations with students about doing? And what are your thoughts about the benefits and pros and cons of this? And so of course, the problem that I'm thinking about is that when we are feeling dysregulated, it makes communication harder. It makes us more quick tempered. conflict is escalating so much faster. We misunderstand. It makes it harder to do all the things that we need to do to be able to be in a learning community with one another. So that's why I care about it. But solving for it is a whole nother thing. So I would love for you all to think aloud with me about the framing that slowing down, or the reframe, the idea that slowing down is not something that we should perceive in academia as being indulgent, but something that is actually really integral and important to how we show up and the work that we're doing as educators, specifically in this moment in higher education. So, with that, I think I'm going to leave it there. And I just want to uh, thank you for being here, and also uh, just uh, thank you for any comments or thoughts that you have on this topic. And I look forward to coming back tomorrow or um, on the next installment with a new topic related to what it looks like to show up in higher ed as a faculty member, administrator, staff member, and how we can leverage one another to get through this moment and to rebuild academia into something even better um, with all that is going on right now. Okay, so thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye bye.